These are practically lost. I mean, one of the things that is really striking to me is just the level of moral decay in the West. Did I ever tell you why I came to Saudi Arabia?
No.
I'm an ophthalmologist. Financially, the opportunities in America were much better than the opportunities overseas. I just came upon an advertisement looking for an ophthalmologist here in the Middle East by the group that I did join, which is called Maghribi. And I had interviewed for the position, and I was considering that compared with the other opportunities I had in the States, which were much more lucrative. And it was not an easy decision at the time. And I was thinking about it back and forth with, talking with my wife, considering the advantages of coming to a Muslim country versus the advantages of staying in America and making more money and so on and so forth. Well, right about that time, there was a couple in our area. They were both doctors and both wildly successful. They were working in private practice. They drove new Mercedes-Benzes every year. They had all the trappings of high financial success in the West. And right about that time, their daughter turned 18, the age of majority in the States. And the moment she turned 18, she went to her parents. She took off her hijab. She said, I want a boyfriend, I want an apartment, I want to live as I want to live. I'm out of here. And she did it. She left the home. She took off her hijab. She started living in the Western style. She started living in Zina with a boyfriend in an apartment, going clubbing, going drinking, and so on and so forth. And so, the best part of that was that she was drinking alcohol and dancing, and living in Zina. The worst part of it was that she left the religion. And her mother was just, psychologically destroyed, and she couldn't work. She basically collapsed in her home, and she just stayed at home, crying, and just saying over and over again, I would give everything for my daughter. I'd give everything to have my daughter back. And it was their only child. And my wife and I looked at our situation. We had one daughter who was 1 year old. We just said, you know what, that makes our decision a whole lot easier. And so that's why I accepted the position here in the Middle East. And the rewards of living in Saudi Arabia and in Medina in specific just are difficult to count. You realize how unimportant money really is. When you look back, just the blessings of living in Saudi Arabia and Medina in particular far outweighed any additional financial benefit I think I could have earned for myself in the West. My wife is Palestinian. She was born and raised in Kuwait. And then during Desert Storm, their family moved to Amman, Jordan. One time we were talking about the innocence of children raised in the Middle East. And because she was the oldest in the family, she had raised a lot of her brothers and sisters, or helped with their raising. Which, by the way, is something else that it's an amazing thing to see how tight the families are in the Middle East. They take care of one another and they nurture one another. Whereas in the West, if you take the oldest boy or girl in the family and say, help raise your brother or sister, they see that as an imposition. They see that as, a problem, a weight upon them, a restraint upon their happiness, whereas here it's normal and they enjoy it. And you see them nurturing one another and playing with one another. But in any case, she told me that up until adulthood, she remembered how her youngest sister, even as she grew up into her teen years, when she would see on the television Tom and Jerry, and how Tom will see the female cat, his eyes would sort of bug out, and then his heart would sort of pop out of his chest, and you see this big red heart, popping out. When her youngest sister, who's named Heba, when Heba would see this, she would turn away from the television blushing. That was the level of innocence of these, just a beautiful level of innocence of the fitra of the people of this area. Now, okay, you compare that with, take even a 9 or a 10-year-old in America, and the studies show that the average child in America, by the time they're 9 or 10, have been exposed through the internet to hardcore pornography. Not just nudity, but hardcore pornography. Where is the innocence anymore? And if you're losing your innocence, if you're losing your visual and your mental and your spiritual innocence at that age, what's the chance for you as you grow up? It's terrible.